I think I'm about to introduce you to the greatest running shoe that Puma has made so far, the Fast-R Nitro Elite 3. Now, if you still think that Puma is not quite up there in the running shoe market, then this shoe may well change your mind, so let me explain why. Hi, I'm Rachel from Runner's World, and today we are reviewing the Puma Fast-R Nitro Elite 3. Okay, so before we go into the details, let me give you some context. At the time of recording, I'm in my final weeks of training for the 2025 London Marathon, which is a race you may have heard of. To help me take on this massive effort, which will be my 16th marathon, I have been very lucky enough to be part of Puma's Project 3 initiative. Now, through the Project 3 experience, we've been treated to an array of training tips, nutrition tips, all from experts. But one of the biggest perks of the Project 3 programme is getting exclusive access to Puma's latest running gear, including the Fast-R 3. This is the shoe that I'll be wearing for the London Marathon this April, and I've been lucky enough to take it for several spins, so I've been very impressed so far, and here's what I think. We have to talk about the weight of this shoe. This shoe, in a UK size 8, is 170 grams. Which is ridiculous, 170 grams. Now compare that to the Fast-R 2, which is the shoe that came before this. This weighs 265 grams. That is 95 grams heavier than the latest shoe we've got here. So basically the weight reduction is more than half the weight of this shoe. It's insane. First, similarities between the Fast-R 2 and the newer Fast-R 3. The stack height is the same. They've both got 40mm in the heel, which is the maximum you can have for official competitions as per World Athletics regulations, and they've got 32mm in the forefoot, so that means that they both have a drop of 8mm. Still have a full-length carbon plate throughout the whole shoe. That's power plate in Puma technology terms. And we've also got Nitro Foam Elite foam in the midsole, which is super responsive, really snappy and very light. Thumbs up. We've also maintained this kind of sticky out bit at the front, which is a bit like a forklift. But yeah, we've got that, and that helps to improve toe off. What's different is that we no longer have these hooks, and we no longer have this sticky out fin bit because, you know, we don't need that extra weight. The heel and toe separation is a lot less pronounced, and the power plate, which is sticking out here and a potential hazard for stones and other things to get stuck, is no longer there, which I like. It's now a much cleaner shoe, in my opinion. And also, I think it actually looks a lot better. Now, although you can't obviously feel the weight of the shoe that I'm holding here, you can probably tell just by looking at it that it's light. I mean, it's basically translucent. You can probably see my face through it. Now, that is thanks to this Ultra Weave upper. Now, I'll be honest, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, it looks a little bit plasticky, it's probably going to rub. But actually, this mesh upper, although it looks very see-through, is actually extremely durable. I've already run almost 120 kilometers in this shoe, and it doesn't rub. It hugs the foot like a dream. It is actually surprisingly comfortable around the ankle. We've got quite a lot of cushioning going on around the heel there. The insole is also really plush, so even if you're running the marathon distance, lots of miles, you're actually going to be surprisingly comfortable in this very, very light shoe. It has also got probably my favourite Puma technology. We've got Puma Grip outsole. It's super grippy. It provides so much traction. You know, generally, if I need to do a speed session and it's raining outside, I'll always go for a Puma shoe with Puma Grip because I know I won't fall over, which is always a good thing. It's worth noting the fit of this shoe though. It does run quite slim. Now, this isn't an issue for me because I actually have a narrower foot, so I actually really appreciate that locked in sort of slimmer feel. But if you do have wider feet, it might be a consideration. This might not be the shoe for you, but still worth a go, but that's just a consideration. Other than that, this shoe does fit true to size. So if you're worried about sizing up, sizing down, having to try different ones, that shouldn't be an issue, which is always a good thing. So now to running in the shoe itself. As a bit of a background to me, I am a midfoot striker with a neutral gait. I'm also quite short. I'm only 161 centimeters tall. And I also have quite a high cadence and not a very lopey stride. So a bit of a quick stepper, if you like. This is a race day shoe that is specifically designed for marathons. Really, it's meant to go the distance. I love a marathon. As I said, I've done 15 so far. My marathon PB is 2 hours 50, so that equates to an average pace of 4 minutes per kilometre or 6 minutes 26 seconds per mile. As the name suggests, this shoe also belongs to Puma's Fast-R Nitro Elite family, which typically have been made for runners who have quite a lopey long stride, which isn't really me. So that's why I've always gone for Puma's other family of super shoes, the Deviate Nitro Elite. Now they are made for people with a higher cadence, you know, those quick steppers. This is the Puma's Deviate Nitro Elite 3. As you can see, it's got quite a pronounced rocker geometry at the front to really sort of get into the forefoot and emphasize that toe off. Compare that with the Fast-R 3, where you've got this kind of real roll from the heel to the toe, so it's really making the most of every bit of the gait cycle. Now, because I'm a quick cadence runner and this shoe is meant for long striders, I'll be honest, I was a bit apprehensive and I didn't think it would be the shoe for me, so I was a bit nervous about testing it, but I was proven wrong. So my first outing in this shoe was for a bit of marathon pace effort. You know, that's what I love. I started off at an easy pace, so for me that's about 4 minutes 40 seconds per kilometre or 7 minutes 30 seconds per mile. And although on those easy bits I was moving quicker than pace, I was like, oh, it doesn't feel quite as alive as I'd hoped, and you know, almost a bit disappointed that it didn't give back. But then I moved to the marathon pace blocks. I leant forward, I got going, and then this shoe really came into its own. Honestly, when you put the effort in, this shoe really, really gives back. And actually, for those marathon pace blocks that I did, I actually wasn't moving at marathon pace. I was moving closer to my threshold pace, which is sort of sub 4 minute kilometres, around the 3:45, 3:55 minute per kilometre mark. And I was just achieving these quicker speeds at about the same effort. So any fears were quickly allayed, let's just say. This is a fast shoe. If you put the work in, it will work for you. The part of the shoe that I found to be really propulsive is this wide paddle bit of the shoe. If you really sort of get in there and get going, it really pushes you forward. So lean into that quite literally, and you got a good shoe on your feet. Another concern among many runners, including myself, is that a lot of shoes can be brilliant up to, say, the half marathon distance, but then you take it any longer and it just starts to hurt, it just starts to rub and just generally feel uncomfortable, which is absolutely not what you need in the second half of a marathon where everything else is hurting as well. Thankfully, I have not experienced that with this shoe. For all the lightness and thinness, it copes extremely well. So for example, a couple of weeks ago I took it out for a 35 kilometre long run, including about 10 miles at marathon pace, which again felt amazingly attainable. I got to the end of that 35 kilometre long run, my feet didn't hurt, nothing was sore, I was able to maintain my pace and form, and to be honest with you, it was actually probably one of the best long runs I've ever done. Puma says that this is a PB breaking shoe. Now, if we are to absolutely nitpick, we know that many factors can affect your chance of getting a PB on race day, especially when it comes to a marathon. But that aside, if you've got this shoe on your foot, I think that's a big part of the battle won. Personally, I'm actually really excited to race in this shoe at the London Marathon this year, so let's see how it gets on. As for my final verdict on this shoe, to be honest, I think this is a massive upgrade on Puma's Fast-R 2. Weight-wise, it's just in a different planet, to be honest with you. And although we've still got the similar kind of look and feel of the Fast-R 2, this shoe is just so much more accommodating. For example, I wouldn't have worn the Fast-R 2 because of my running style, but this shoe just accommodates so many more runners, and I think it's just such a fast shoe to have on your feet. I think we can expect to see this at a lot of races in future. Honestly, if you don't believe the hype around Puma getting well and truly high up there on the running scene, you need to believe it, because this is a fast shoe, it's a comfortable shoe, it's very much built for the marathon distance. As I said, I've clocked 120k in this already, and it's given me no issues, just a lot of enjoyment and a lot of speed that I actually didn't realise I had.